Welcome to another episode of The Death of Art. This is the entrance to GreenWood Cemetery, a beautiful 19th century garden cemetery. This was the first cemetery to actually be placed outside of New York City's environs. It was in nature, there are trees, it was considered to be a beautiful piece of landscaping architecture. Very quickly it turned into a sculpture garden, and a lot of very wealthy people are buried here, so a lot of money came here. This gate is done in the neo-Gothic style, and is almost like a cathedral in itself. It's so large, so imposing, and has so many different Gothic styles. You have everything you need from the 19th century. You have a clock, the little details from the French Gothic cathedrals, and interestingly enough, that ball of fuzz on the top is not part of the design. That is a huge colony of vicious, bloodthirsty monk parrots. Apparently when the weather is just right, they swoop down and like pick up dogs and cats and small children. At least that's what they tell me. But anyway, if you want to feel the flames of hell and foreboding, walk through those gates one day. You'll feel it. I said I'd bring you art, and this is actually art. This is not a monument, this is not a tombstone. This is, I guess, a conceptual piece done by Sophie Calle, a French artist. Here lie the secrets of the visitors of GreenWood Cemetery. So I think the idea is you're supposed to interact with this pseudo tombstone and slip your secrets in. Now, I personally don't have any secrets, so I'm gonna slip $1 in there and see if like a bell rings or something. I don't know. It's kind of jammed up with other people's secrets. Well, anyway, nothing really happened, but this is the sort of thing you find out here in GreenWood Cemetery. Some of you might have heard of this conspiracy theory that the original movers and shakers that built our country were all a bunch of Masons, a secret society. Now, if you have any doubt about that, just come to one of these old graveyards where they bury the wealthy. For example, here we have Governor DeWitt Clinton. There are multiple Masonic symbols, as well as the Grand Chapter with the Masonic cross. It's plastered all over the place. You might be forgiven for thinking that this was erected 100 years ago. It has that old beautiful style with all the tracery and the leaves and so forth, but no, in fact, this was erected 22 years ago in 1998. So not much has changed in the last couple of 100 years. As you walk by, you will see countless references to Freemasonry, many of which are on the larger, more wealthy tombs.
Seems to me we have a couple of Yankees and a couple of Confederates. This guy here is just bursting with pride. I think he's a sound guy because he's got like a boom mic. He was predicting the future. In the future, everyone will be doing documentaries about the Civil War. They would need like boom mics, and they would need to put something kind of foamy over the top.
As usual, The Death of Art brings you something a little different. Here we are on a rise in GreenWood Cemetery. We have beautiful tombstones all around us, but the most interesting thing is that guy in that window showering, overlooking hordes of dead bodies. Now, one of the biggest mysteries of these graveyards is this prevalence of tree stump tombstones. Now, if you look at this thing, and this is just one of many, it's a simple tree stump. And I've always wondered, was tree stump like a cipher for something else? Was it just people who wanted to say they love nature? It's in fact all those things, which is why this symbolism gets so confusing. In addition, there is an organization called the Woodsmen of the World. They're these guys that get together, they probably dress in funny hats, they drink, they pay their dues, and at the end of their life, they have money for a tree stump tombstone. As I said, there's many of these. I just noticed this little masterpiece of a tree stump. They usually aren't this good. it's in marble, clearly, and it's all worn off. Basically, if it's not granite, you know, after 100 years, everything's illegible. So, yet another example of this phenomenon. Moving along, here's another grave. Now, this is one of your options. If you don't have a lot of money, you can have a grave kind of like this. I mean, this is very simple, in its own way elegant. Here you have several sheets of plywood sort of placed artistically on each other. You have a traffic cone. I really can't argue with this solution. It's simple and it's kind of to the point. Another thing I want to point out, you'll notice obelisks dotting the landscape. Boom, 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 everywhere you look. In Egypt, there is not a single locale where there is this many obelisks. This was like a crazy Egyptomania fad. Some of it actually refers back to Freemasonry. Some of it is just that was what people did. If an ancient Egyptian from 3,000 years ago walked into this graveyard, he himself would be astonished.
He's an unusual artist because he was a bear. They said, what's his name? They said, William Holbrook Bear. And I firmly believe they accidentally put a D on the end of bear.
And they did it 3 times?
Look at
I
that.
wonder what the hell's in here.
Bear food.
All right, are you ready for this?
Whoa!
Oh my God.
Let's
You
take
know
it and
what?
buy drugs with it.
Like, I'll put in $1, you know, whatever. So,
Here's some money for the bear as
oh,
well.
look, there's pennies up there.
Yeah, a penny for the bear.
That's for like the cheap guys. This is one of the most beautiful graves or monuments in GreenWood. This was designed by a 17-year-old girl in the 19th century, and she designed it for her aunt. She spent her formative years when she should have been out like hitting bars with guys doing this. And in the end, she was going somewhere in a snowstorm, her horses bolted, and she was thrown from the carriage and died. And so the grave she actually designed for her aunt became her own grave. The saddest part about this whole story is that this young 17-year-old girl had a boyfriend, and a year later he committed suicide. But because of the Catholic norms, because he had sinned, he could not actually be buried next to her. So his grave sits right over there next to her, but not with her. And this is a whole American drama, which is just beautiful. And it's played out in stone. And that's what I call art. Please like, please subscribe, and please ring the bell.